quick little preview. Some of you may have seen this. Amazon says this business opportunity could make you up to $300,000 a year. Here's how to get into the program. This just came out last week. And there's plenty of additions depending on the paper. Amazon announced a new business. It says almost anyone with enough savings and a desire to be their own boss can do, staffing and operating a fleet of delivery trucks for the e-commerce giant. And they are a giant. I love Amazon. Amazon is delivered to my house every day by my wife. I am low rent, poor white trash. I love Walmart.com. And I love Dunkin' Donuts, unlike the elitist Spencer, who loves Starbucks.
I don't like Starbucks.
It's a program called Delivery Service Partners, and Amazon is hoping it will solve the problem of last mile delivery. Y'all hear about that scenario? The last mile alone with Amazon is the most critical. So let me ask you this. How many days a week does the U.S. Postal Service deliver? 7. Didn't used to be like that. What are they doing on that 7th day?
Amazon.
Just Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Just Amazon. Literally, they come with the little trucks they got there, and they're delivering it. You ask them, how is the U.S. Postal Service operating on Sunday? Oh, we just do Amazon. That's how powerful it is. But supposedly, depending on the situation, how Trump's been on their backs about how we've been subsidizing them, the last mile alone is the most critical. Where if there was supposed to be a shift or a change, just losing that last mile could demolish their profitability. So that's why they're trying to venture into this. So it's a program called Delivery Service Partners, and Amazon is hoping it will solve the problems of last mile delivery. With an initial investment as low as $10,000, according to Amazon, an entrepreneur can start a business that hires drivers and leases up to 40 vans to deliver packages from warehouses to homes. Drivers will wear Amazon branded uniforms, and the vans will sport Amazon Prime logos. But the business will be owned by the entrepreneurs themselves and contracted by Amazon to complete deliveries. Notice, complete deliveries. According to Amazon, the company won't allow vans with Amazon branding to be used to service competitors. So if you'd go into this, Amazon owns you. You're wearing their stuff, you're wearing their clothing, you're wearing their brand, and you can't service any competitors. So you're capped at how much your earning potential is. To keep the startup, and again, I love Amazon, I just don't love this opportunity. To keep the startup costs low for interested entrepreneurs, Amazon is providing access to third-party deals on costs like leasing the vans, getting insurance, buying mobile devices and data plans, investing into infrastructure to support others. Although the newly formed businesses aren't required to use the deals through Amazon, they, quote, may not be able to achieve the startup cost figures without doing so. For successful owners operating with 20 to 40 vans, I'll say it again, for successful owners operating with 20 to 40 vans, Amazon estimates potential annual profits will range from $75,000 to $300,000. I'll start that again. For successful owners operating with 20 to 40 vans, i.e. you own the vehicles, you own the vehicles with Amazon logos, Amazon uniforms. Amazon estimates potential profits will range from $75,000 to $300,000, although those numbers will differ by city and the individual business costs. So how do you apply to become part of the program? First, interested entrepreneurs have to be vetted and approved by Amazon. Regulation. Amazon gives 5 qualifications for the Delivery Service Partner Program. 1, experience hiring and developing great teams. 2, commit to being a hands-on delivery service partner owner full-time. 3, available liquid assets of at least $30,000. 4, strong credit history. 5, previous business ownership preferred but not required. In addition to your basic contact information, the application only asks a few yes or no questions about your experience, past bankruptcies, and current financial assets. After you express interest and confirm that you have $30,000 in the bank, there is a longer application Amazon will ask you to fill out according to the website. I'm almost done. Then it can take anywhere from 1 month to 6 months to get started as a DSP, Delivery Service Partner, according to the application. Of course, no business is foolproof. Here comes a disclaimer. No business is foolproof. Don't just quit your job hoping to make $300,000. Even Amazon provides a broad range of potential profits per year and lots of fine print. I didn't say this. This is all from, I think this came out of, this was a CNN publication. Plus, the branding connection will mean you're beholden to Amazon in some ways, explains Jeremy Kagan, an adjunct professor of marketing at Columbia Business School and the managing director of the Eugene Lang Entrepreneurship Center. And that can limit your ability to scale. So, it sounds like a great opportunity. Okay, so let's say on the high end, you invest in, let's say you invest in 40 vans, and to make sure you get that $300,000 profit. What's the per unit profit on that? Spencer, you're smart. What's the math on that? 300,000 divided by 40. Subtract the 2 zeros, cut them off to expedite the calculation. And he pulls out his calculator. It's 7,500.
It's terrible.
7,500 per unit. Now, the problem with that is, remember, you are beholden to them, you go through their regulation, you own the vehicles, you own the assets, yada, yada, yada. Especially this afternoon, when I start talking about the broker business, you are going to see, when I give you my numbers, you're going to see my lowest average paid contractor who does the fewest amount of trips. I make, not they make, I make 12,000. Right now, my share per unit is between $12,000 and $49,000 per contractor. And I'm gonna show you this afternoon, I'm gonna blow your mind. And all the while, they keep their own trucks, they keep their own vehicles, they pay their own insurance, they pay their own gas. I don't have any of that infrastructure. So here's the irony in all of this, is that and let me first thank you and congratulate you guys for coming, because I know a bunch of you who didn't even know technically what you were getting into, but you got into it based off your relationship with me. And honestly, I couldn't be more honored and humbled and flattered by that, and that's why I'm committed to making sure you guys are successful in this, just like I am. But this afternoon, especially when I go into the numbers, you're gonna see I have a completely different business model than something like Amazon. But the irony is, so many people who got the same email as you did, had all the complaints of a $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 investment. Oh, that's too much. But how many people are gonna jump on Amazon because they know the bigger name? And they're gonna go in and they're gonna do the sharecropping and slave ship. Now, I'm going to tell you overall in general right now why I'm successful. Who knows how to get the message to Garcia? Has anyone ever heard about getting the message to Garcia? All right. Get the message to Garcia. Spanish-American War. Spencer, because you are the brain trust in this operation today, who did America fight in the Spanish-American War?
Why are you doing this to me? French.
You're messing with me, right? Very good, very good. Spanish-American War. In 1899, Elbert Hubbard authored a message to Garcia. During the Spanish-American War, obviously no cell phones, no direct communication, no telegrams, none of that stuff. Spanish-American War, their President McKinley needed to communicate with General Garcia, who was the leader of the inhabitant insurgents, who obviously were going to fight the Spanish. And General McKinley needed to connect with and communicate directly with General Garcia to talk about troop locations, things of that nature. Well, how are you going to do it when you can't communicate because you can't even find the guy? I believe it was the Secretary of Defense, said to President McKinley, I know a guy, ironically enough, he was a West Point graduate, class of 1881. Oh. He said, listen, I know someone who can do it. And this person, it was Lieutenant Rowan, he can get the message to Garcia. He can get the message to Garcia. So Rowan goes to President McKinley. McKinley gives him a leather satchel and says, I need you to get this message to Garcia. Rowan didn't ask any questions. Well, where is he? What time is he going to be there? How can I find him? How will I know if I found him? Didn't ask any of the questions. He went in, the president gave him the satchel. You're going to be dropped off on the shores of Cuba. I need you to get this message to Garcia. Takes this under cover of darkness. He comes close to the island of Cuba. He gets picked up by some smaller ships. They take him in, they drop him off. 3 weeks later, Rowan emerges on the other side of Cuba with a message from Garcia to McKinley. What's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is Rowan had no idea where Garcia was, who to look for, and mind you, there's Spanish on there, so he's in a hostile enemy environment. The point is he was resourceful. He didn't sit there and complain, well, I don't know if I could do this. Why do I gotta do it? Why don't you ask Charlie? Charlie's better than me. He didn't ask questions, didn't complain, he was just resourceful. And he got up off his ass and he figured it out. He just figured out solutions to the problems. I'm giving you the much abbreviated version of what Elbert Huger drafted when he wrote a message to Garcia. So when I tell you, just get the message to Garcia, find a way to get the message to Garcia. The reason why I'm successful, the reason why I was successful in my NEMT, the reason I'm successful with my broker business and all the endeavors I'm involved in is not only do I always work to get the message to Garcia, I always insist and require that my people, especially the ones who I rely on, who are good, valuable assets, I always ask them, can you get the message to Garcia? And it's funny because if you ever read the essay from Albert Hubbard, he specifically says, ask any assistant, ask anyone who works for you, just ask them if they can get the message to Garcia. And they're going to come into your office and they're going to say, well, why don't you look it up? Or I don't know, why don't you ask him, this and that. And I'm telling you, so when I read this years upon years ago, I did the test. I called everybody into my office one by one in my NEMT, and they come in, and I'd ask them, John, can you get the message to Garcia? Well, I don't know, who's Garcia? Don, can you get the message? Well, who is he? Where do I look? What do I do? I had this one guy, out of almost 30 people, I had one guy, Wayne. Wayne was like Spencer, heavier set, disheveled. That's a good word, I love it. Wayne comes in, worked full time for me, great guy. I would not ever say he would, again, like Spencer, he never, knocked the ball in the park when it came to IQ charts. And he was a part-time fireman, volunteer fireman, this and that. Sure enough, Wayne comes in. I'm like, Wayne, can you do me a favor? Yeah, sure, no problem, boss. I said, can you get the message to Garcia? Yeah, just give it to me. I was like, Wayne, I love you. Love you. Because I did the test. I'm serious. Go ask your people, can you get the message to Garcia? As you build your NEMT business, as you build your broker business, again, you don't have to literally do the test and ask people, can you get the message to Garcia? But have that philosophy, have that approach. Can you get the message to Garcia? You want people who are doers. You don't want complainers. Three things are absolutely critical to any successful enterprise. Three things are absolutely critical. Capital, regulation, labor. This is critical for NEMT. This is critical for the broker business. Three things are critical for any successful enterprise. Capital, regulation, labor. I preface everything so everybody knows I am a biblical capitalist. God comes first, then your husband or wife, then your kiddies, then business. It just so happens business helps fund everything. So I enjoy money. I don't love money, but I enjoy making money. I enjoy interacting with people making money so I can further support and protect the house. I am a biblical capitalist. I believe in free market enterprise. So what happens, young soldier, how we doing? So what happens when these get out of whack? What happens when like Looney Tune politicians always get involved and they want to social engineer everything? When they mandate certain things like labor, what happens when labor gets out of whack and they expect too much out of labor? What does capital do?
Decreases.
Capital moves, it decreases. If you come in and you start raising minimum wages all the time, and again, I'm all about empowering people, make as much money as you possibly can. Labor cost has to be under control. If all of a sudden your labor costs out of control in your NEMT, your broker business, or any venture you have, you're not going to have capital left over to further grow and expand. Basic economics, am I right? Unfortunately, most politicians don't understand this. When labor gets out of whack, what happens to capital? It moves. What happens if regulation gets out of whack? What happens to capital? It moves. We want capital. We want to find environments that are friendly for capital. Right now, why is the stock market doing? How many people are involved in the stock market right now? Are you making good money?
I just shorted the market.
The market is doing well. This is a good market. It's only going to get better. This market is doing well. So right now, as we're going through an entirely new economy where we have a lot of deregulation, what's happening to capital? It's coming back to the markets. What about all these big businesses that are repatriating their money? It's coming back. Now, am I trying to give you a governmental lesson here? No. Or an economic lesson? No. But this directly affects your business, how much money you make. I'm going to make the gross assumption that everybody here is here to build wealth. You're here to make money. With that being said, emotion. I think it was Kathy, one of our conversations via email, you had asked me, well, what should I do? I mean, if I'm doing well in the broker business, should we do NEMT or something along those lines, right? So here's what I would tell you. Absolutely, keep your NEMT business as long as it's an asset. When it's no longer an asset, it has to go. If your broker business is no longer an asset, it has to go. You don't make emotional decisions. You always make your decisions on the margin. Always. It just so happens right now we're headed into a very good market where capital is coming back in, providing great opportunity for everybody. What's the biggest problem right now for most businesses? Labor. What is the biggest problem in your business? Labor. So right now in your NEMT, it's always hard finding good quality work. When it comes to your broker business, it's going to be hard finding good quality contract. Biggest problem. That's all it is. Once we start solving that, we're going to be highly productive. So it's critical that everything we look through is capital, regulation, labor. The beautiful thing about the broker, this is almost next to, it's just not in the equation. That's the beautiful thing. One of the best things why I'm successful operating in 5 states, I don't have this. Now I see Matt celebrating over there because Matt, ironically enough, is in the state of Illinois, which, as he and I talked about yesterday, is probably the worst state right now in the union because they are so poorly mismanaged. Right now, they're probably worse than California, and California's bad, but Illinois is god-awful. So when you hear everybody talk about we need mandated $15 minimum wage, we need $21 minimum wage, I want people to make as much money as you can, but just understand, you're going to get small businesses who want to invest and start a business, they can't afford to, they're moving out. When you have all these high tax rates, big tax corporations, where do they go? Overseas. Why do you think they were all over going to Ireland? Ireland was at 12 and 15% corporate rate. We were in the high 20s and 30s. It's insane. So, quick side note. If you're not in the market, get in the market because the market's, I'm making a lot of money. The market's only going to continue to get better.